So welcome to Highway to the Friendzone.
Is that what we call it?
Highway to the Friendzone. Gonna get him right into the Friendzone.
It's good to be here.
It is good, and I think that particular segment completely highlights the exercise that we're embarking on. Because my name's Kieran Butler. This is Dave Streader.
Hello.
This is Eurydice Dixon.
Hello.
Eurydice still has no idea what that song is.
Danger Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got no recognition from you whatsoever there. On the. You know that song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Poker Face.
Tom, is that because you've? Is that because you know Top Gun?
No, I just listen to Gold 104.3 a lot.
Oh, okay. Well, that's out there. That explains a lot of fucking shit, man. So, so the point of this podcast.
Tell the listeners.
We'll tell the listeners
what we're doing here in this.
Well, there isn't
project.
one for starters. Let's get that down. There's probably no one listening.
The listener, our audience.
I was inspired to get these two people together because of a stand-up comedy set I saw Eurydice do down at 59. So, Eurydice, you explain the stand-up set that you did that sort of inspired this, and then that might sort of get us along the way in terms of...
Sure. Well, dynamics at the time, that was a big news story. But I hadn't watched it at the time. But I was of the view that revoking the visa wasn't something I was for, but I was also vaguely assumed that the people.
Okay, let's go. Let's for the sake of an argument, pretend nobody listening understands what that is. So just give us a précis of what real social dynamics is.
The backstory.
The backstory. It's like the new school of pickup. So rather than the older ones focus on like wearing strange clothing so that they're like, women will talk to you or whatever, this one, it's like from self-help books, I think a lot of the rhetoric, but it's mostly just like guys and they tell...
That's it, that's just got...
There's also psychological reverse, psychology tricks they've got.
Yeah, the negging thing. But what you just referred to older pickups and what sort of strange clothing?
And like...
Yeah, where a lady would drop her handkerchief and a gentleman would retrieve it for her. And then they'd go a-courting.
Yeah. But there was, but then there's also, like, what's his name?
That was from the 18th.
That was the old pickup.
Yeah, that's like, I think that happened in the last century.
And then in the 30s, you'd take a lady up for a milkshake. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it was after the Great Depression.
After the Depression. And then
so what sort of weird clothes are these?
Well, I just heard like vaguely it was like you wear an eye patch or like an interesting shirt, and then women come up to you and say, "Why are you wearing the eye patch?" And they say, and then like,
I want to look like a pirate.
And then you're talking to them or whatever. It was like I haven't looked into that deeply enough to give more information.
Okay.
But
is this a wholesome one of how to get attention?
No, it's just like a different thing that came before the current guys.
Yeah.
Who are more focused on being
my friends and I used to do accents. One time me and a mate just said when we were out and about, let's go over and talk to those girls, do Irish accents and never drop character. And that worked, man.
Did you do a serious accent? Or like a la-di-da accent?
Well, we wanted to make sure that we were believable, so we actually just went, we are Irish.
Serious.
Yeah, we're Irish, yeah. And these girls were like, where are you from? And they're like, oh yeah, we're from Dublin. We're just been travelling around. We've just been travelling around Australia for the last 12 months. Where are you girls from? Where are you girls from? Now I've gone all that. It wasn't as bad as Sam Neill in Peaky Blinders. Take note, because there'll probably be some people tuning in to get tips.
I heard you get a dog.
That's the best.
That's what people are here. They're listening to us.
That's the best.
You get yourself a dog, and then you go to the park, and then you don't look like a sociopath because you think like you're looking after an animal.
Yeah.
So you're not too crazy.
Well, you should put that in a stand-up set, man. You should do stand-up about how you went to the park with your dog and girls wanted to talk to you, because I've never seen anyone do that ever.
No, I'm just going to stick to doing Tinder jokes.
I was in Sydney, and a dude who shall not be named because he sucks, I think.
No names.
Just he did that, man. He did that for like
what did he do?
5-10 minutes. I got a dog, right? I went to the park, right? And girls want to talk to me, right?
This material is from like the late 70s, early 80s. Like this material is ancient, the dog stuff.
Yeah. All of a sudden when you've got a dog, it's like when you've got a kid, the irony of like having a child.
Makes you more attractive.
All of a sudden when you have a child, women want to talk to you.
They often say that just having a girlfriend in general, because you've got a girlfriend.
So
you don't have to look.
If you're taking notes, write this down. Get an eye patch and a dog and a child.
And a girlfriend. and then you'll be attractive to other women.
I'm going to try and keep this linear and go back to...
Eye patches.
Eye patches is old school. And the real social dynamics, they'd thrown away their eye patches.
They're not on that.
They
were moving the art form forward.
Post-patch 2.0.
And now it's just, they're cool or whatever. That's the whole thing, is they tell these dorky dudes to act cool.
So people listening, because people have got attention spans of goldfishes in this modern day social media world, a lot of people probably don't remember that it was a fellow called Julian Blanc from Real Social Dynamics that had his visa withdrawn in a bunch of countries. And Australia, being the visa withdrawing country of the universe, withdrew his visa. I think we were the first. He was on a world tour and he pissed off some people in Japan, and then he came here, and then he was... But those were crazy times, man. I remember seeing a video of, this is a true thing, right? You can find it online. I saw a video around those times because it was all cat and mouse. So remember, they were having their seminars in one place, and then they rang the hotel and, you people are supporting rap culture, so they cancel. And they had to go underground. Eventually they were going to have their thing on a boat down the Yarra. There
was a Melbourne female comic involved in that campaign. Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yes, it's the one you're thinking of. Yeah, yes. Correct. They all went down for this thing, right? But I saw footage of one of the guys who had something to do with the Real Social Dynamics crew. He was standing near the river, and he had a whole bunch of people around him, and they were all chanting, "Say no to sexual assault, say no to sexual assault, say no to sexual assault." And there was a woman down the front remonstrating with this guy, saying, "You're a fucking disgrace," something. And then he said something back to her that she was so horrified by. She instinctively, it was like an instinct, she just instinctively slapped this dude across the face. Fucking bang, right? And I remember watching it going, right, so you've clarified your position, no to sexual assault, but general assault, that's on.
Right? Hypocrisy!
And well, obviously but I'm a bit sick of, hypocrisy is such, I just listened to it on the radio, so overdone as a word. I heard two people arguing with each other, but I said hypocrisy first. No, but I called hypocrisy. Who cares about hypocrisy? It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
You're not allowed to flip-flop on an idea.
You can't be standing there with a group of people going, no to assault, no to assault.
Yeah, then she flip-flopped. She had a road to Damascus kind of enlightenment moment. Violence is right in this situation.
It was such a Dom Vine moment. Like if it had been flipped around, it was a real sort of, you fucking made me do that. Like it was involuntary. She just went fucking whang into this dude, smacked him across the face, and you're like, that's exactly how blokes snap with women, and we're meant to be like trying to put that shit on the down low, Don't just snap and turn around and go, but I just fucking snapped. So anyway, and then, but remember they revoked, the best thing, the other thing was, he'd left the country, then they revoked the visa, remember that?
I do.
No.
He's flown out on the Thursday, your man Peter Dutton, revokes the visa on the grounds that blokes like this are un-Australian. They're the most Australian blokes ever. Like, that was the other thing too, they had embraced our culture, on so many levels. I thought.
Yeah, so you were saying...
So
Eurydice?
that gives you some...
Alright, so anyway, jump to a few months, I was like on A Voice for Men, and they had all these articles on why they hated the pickup artists. And in that sort of general manosphere, they were all talking about how they hated the pickup artists because they were too gynocentric, which is like their term for men who like aren't misogynist enough. So I was kind of intrigued to see what the actual videos were, because there were like two different people who both hated them.
Now,
but
what-
for opposite
Yeah, who's
reasons.
the-
Now, what took away by what Eurydice had to say at the time was, I thought that, like, you've just been able to say these men thought these other men were too gynocentric
And gynocentric means...
and weren't misogynistic enough. That's what you just said.
Yeah.
Right? You just said that sentence. Eurydice just said that sentence and didn't go into a hysterical fucking, can you fucking believe the world's like this? That's really important, because in order to be able to talk about these contentious issues, you have to resist the urge to go, I can't fucking believe the world's like this. It's like this. Grow up.
But that's more interesting. Like, if you watch Q&A, the interesting episodes are where people scream at each other.
Oh, and they don't let them scream long
If they
enough.
don't scream at each other, if there's no hysterics, it's bad for ratings.
Gynocentric's pretty cool, though.
So what's that? The gynocentric
I'm going to call
man-
someone that today, just for no reason.
Who's a gynocentric?
As in, like, they're centering their lives around
The woman.
the woman.
What do these people have to say about actual gynecologists? Like,
I don't know, they're probably...
that'd blow their fucking mind.
So that's
The ultimate gynocentric thing to do. It's a job you get paid for.
gynocentric. So it's a guy who's too
What?
respectful of women.
No.
Is that
No,
what
it
it is?
means that they center their whole lives around
I don't think the
women.
guy is Guy. It's Gyno from gynecological.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I just
Yeah.
wanted to establish that.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew
Oh,
that.
that's good.
Gyno.
Yeah.
Yeah, gynecological men. No.
No, it's like their term for like what they see as society as
In
a
the
whole.
manosphere.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It means that everything's focused around the women, and so men's concerns aren't looked at enough.
Oh, okay.
So the pickup artists, they're like literally changing themselves, and they're dedicating their lives to getting women.
Yeah.
So they hate them because of that.
So these guys hate the dudes from Real Social Dynamics.
Because they're not misogynistic enough.
Enough.
Ah, yeah, I
So
know
on the
this
one
group,
hand,
yeah.
they've got, from what I can gather, radical feminists coming at them from one side going, you're too misogynistic, and from the other side, they've got a bunch of men saying you're not misogynistic
Yeah,
enough.
and so when I saw that, I
That's,
had to watch the
that-
videos and make
absolutely,
my
yeah.
own
so, having watched the
decision.
videos,
Having watched the videos,
what
they're
What do
clearly
you say?
not aimed at me. Like, that's the thing.
But would
though.
you say, are they too misogynistic
Are they
or
giving
not
good
misogynistic
They're
enough?
giving good information. Like, would you fall for them? Like, if a guy came up to you and used some of these tactics.
Probably. I don't know. It's difficult to...
I don't know what it is. What is actually going to work? Because that's what these guys really want to spend the money on, is to be told how to get some loving.
Yeah.
And they're paying these pickup artists now. But you're saying the pickup artists might be providing correct information, or?
Well, they don't give very specific information, and a lot of their focus is on hitting on more than one woman. Because it's an art form, not a science.
Heaps of it. Having watched it, I reckon heaps of it is about them saying, I'm so great.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen.
Which, to me, negates the whole purpose of trying to teach anybody anything. Like, imagine going to a course to learn how to do some basic carpentry, and your man's just up there going, check how well I can hammer this nail in here. Fucking bang. I've put that form up in the space of 4 days. I'm the best. Watch what I do. Bang, bang, bang. Like, you do that, no one's going to turn around, oh, now you have a go. So, I reckon it gets a bit egocentric.
But in terms
As
of...
opposed to being gynocentric.
But I don't know, in terms of actual misogyny, not particularly. I think they
You
use-
said in your bit that you were disappointed
Yeah, they were.
with
The
the
lack of
amount at the
misogyny.
lack of misogyny.
Yeah.
I remember
hatred
that.
for women.
Yeah, but that again, that's
And that made me
because
feel
I had
really
the
good.
idea
I was
in my-
glad. Sorry, I was really glad when you said that. That was just another one of the myriad ways that men can disappoint women. Like it's possible to
You're not
disappoint.
sexist
I
enough.
love the idea that it was possible to disappoint a woman by not being misogynistic enough, having raised the expectation. So, lift your game. Social
Misogynists.
dynamics.
Hate women more.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but like being a good pickup artist, that shit's hard to teach. You know, I don't reckon if you had a course.
Have confidence.
I mean, if a dude's coming in, just be like, oh, you know, I want to learn how to hate women more. You're like, oh, I'm really good at it.
I'm really angry.
Sit down and teach you a few things. If
I learned from my granddad.
if it's in your nature,
He was angry.
to just be a nice person
Yeah.
to most people, and in the process be nice to women. I like being a good. I reckon it would be hard to teach.
To teach.
It's a big art.
Because that's one of the main things of these pickup artists is teaching guys to be critical and kind of arrogant to women with the negging.
Mm.
And having that kind of like, I don't care where this goes. It's kind of like teaching guys who are typically sort of act like obsequious, I guess. And
There was a
teaching them
dude
to
I
be
went on.
more
There was a dude I went
confident
touring
and-
with, right? And he told us one day, you know, and he's got all comics in the car. He always tend to be a bit, and he goes. We were just talking about going out and picking up and stuff, and he just goes, I just go into a bar and just go up to 10 women and go, you know, I'd like to fuck you, and we'd go, oh right, you know, and we're all sitting in the car being comics, going, what a dickhead, you know. And how's that work out for you? And he goes, you'll get your face slapped like 4 or 5 times.
But number 6.
He goes, but 1 out of 10 will say yes. And we were like, oh, what a dickhead, right? And then we went and did this gig, and he went, I'll prove it to you that night. And he did it in the bar, and he did get his face slapped 2 times, and then, you know, we had to go on to the next town, so he didn't actually get to close the deal, but one woman was up for it.
You're right.
He proved the theory right in front of my face. And I couldn't say that what he was doing, that there was anything particularly wrong with what he was doing. He wasn't being abusive. He was just...
But saying, do you want to fuck? Like, not, hi, my name is whatever.
Some people would go, oh, that's treating women like an object. Well, it's not really. It's actually just...
Expressing your desires and
It's
wants.
just
You're allowed to
expediting
want.
the social transaction, isn't it?
You're allowed to
Yeah.
want something, and
Yeah.
you're allowed to express that want. And if
Yeah.
someone doesn't want to hear about it, they're
Yep.
allowed to say, no, I'd rather this conversation over. But, like, you're still allowed to
Like if you ask
express-
anyone what an invitation to treat is in contract law, most people can't tell you what an invitation to treat is. But
To what treat?
An invitation to treat. When you go into a shop and you see a chocolate bar and it says $1.50,
Yes.
that's actually not an offer, it's an invitation to treat. They've just attached that $1.50. When you go up to the guy and say, I want to buy your chocolate bar, you're the one making the offer. He accepts.
When you go into a shop is private property. You enter someone's
What's
private...
the fucking private property? I'm talking about contract law.
You're saying when you buy
You
something...
go into any milk bar, right?
Right.
And you go up and then it says $1.50 for the chocolate bar.
Yes.
That's not an offer. That's an invitation to treat. The offer happens when you take the chocolate bar and say, I'll give you $1.50 for this chocolate bar based on the fact that I saw the price written down.
Yeah.
The person says, yes, give me the $1.50, consider there's acceptance, $1.50 change hands, there's consideration, you've got a binding fucking contract, chocolate bar bought, right? That's your contract. A lot of people in the pickup game, I reckon, get interested in the invitation to treat stage. What your man had done when he walked up and said, I just want to fuck you, he just got straight up to the offer. Does that make any sense? It makes sense to me that
He's not wasting any time. He's saying right from the start, this is where I want this to go.
Yeah.
I'm being honest about it.
I thought he was a dickhead. I didn't think he was being out with men and women aren't around. Let you into some secret stuff. heaps of times you've got to...
Patriarchy stuff.
Yeah, patriarchy stuff. The stuff we talk about, you know. What was that? My line in my show, I remember Provenza going, you know, to me that this was a good joke. When I did my... You know, I had a joke once where I talked about I didn't understand why women made men come and watch birth.
Don't men want to watch it though?
Well, I don't know, man. I think they've been conditioned. They've been conditioned.
Curious to go. I'm kind of. What does life look like?
But my argument always was to my wife at the time, why are you going to make me watch the birth? Right? I don't want to see that.
Right.
Right. And here's the deal. I've made a contract with your vagina. That's the only vagina I'm allowed to suck and fuck and do stuff to for the rest of my natural life. I don't want to see it all bent out of shape with a baby's head coming through there, right? And I used to say, as a prelude,
takes away from the mystique
to that punchline,
of lovemaking.
I used to say that, the punchline was to say, I don't want to see your cunt reverse raped by my daughter's head. That was the punchline. It was one of those real sort of, I can say it really fucking horrible. People like that. The prelude to it was, I got to this stage where I was writing a prelude to it, and I said, I'd go to the audience, who's got kids, who got made to go and watch the birth? Oh, I wanted to go. I said, well, you think you did. I said, but that's only a recent invention, right? And I blame feminism for that because they were always...
Which wave? First, second, or third?
Probably way back in the first, right? They were,
we want voting rights.
This want you to watch.
Yes, you have to watch this. This
is the way I saw it going down. It was like, you can't go off to the pub for 15 hours standing around getting pissed with your mate, smoking cigars, waiting for the baby to be born. Come and fucking take
No, it wasn't there yet. It wasn't until like the 60s or 70s.
There's heaps of pain. Come and bear witness to the pain. Fucking da-da-da-da-da. And I said, and the thing is, what's happened by doing that, you've taken away the mystique, the goddess thing. The giver of life thing was what made women goddesses, right? There was a time in human history where people stood under trees. You'd be standing under a tree, your mate would come up, what are you doing? And you go, oh, Mrs. is really fat. Apparently she's going to have a baby. And they've gone into the cave. And then the other guy would be like, yeah, my missus went into that cave too. Just a couple of months ago and just came out with a brand new baby. And I was like, how do they do that? A secret, and then I'd always tag it going, that's why we invented patriarchy. It freaked us out that you could make your own people. We couldn't do that.
This is how you see history. This is the history.
This is what happened way back in history. And some of that goddess thing, right?
Well,
if women had hung on to some of the goddess stuff and the mystique and stuff, I reckon women would have... There'd be a whole different situation going on with the pickup artistry.
Modernism and postmodernism got rid of the god and goddess mentality. It's just all we have is
bullshit.
Is a subjective view of the world. Baby birthing watching didn't come along until the 70s. Yeah. My dad didn't watch me, but my sister, who's only a couple of years younger, my dad watched her come out. Mm. But I don't know. I thought it was just like this bonding thing where everyone's kind of like more, hey man, this is what it's all about. This is life, man.
Yeah,
like, it's not meant to traumatize you.
But my argument was
into falling out of love with your wife.
No, it's just I don't want to see that vagina. I used to say I don't want to see that vagina all bent out of shape with a baby's head coming through it.
Yeah,
that's why would you want to see that? That's another job that it does. Like if your dad works in an abattoir. You don't have to go and see that happening. My dad works in that.
I don't know. I'd be curious.
If you want to see it and celebrate, I remember my missus going,
you don't actually have to see it though.
The beauty of the birth of a new life. If you want to see that shit, you get a video and watch it happening with someone else.
Right.
There's no, if that's what you're into, you don't have to see... The famous line is, I don't want to see my favourite pub burnt down. It doesn't have to be the one, But the point being,
you didn't want to watch.
Secret men's business, right? You often sit around with other blokes, and some bloke will say something, and you go, you have to constantly be making gee, that was a bit rapey, and every now and then you got to call out somebody that said something. I was on a conference one time not long ago, and some guys just did that blokey thing, and I just called them out and went, fuck off, man, that's bullshit, you're just all doing that because there's no women here. And
what were they doing?
I can't even remember, such low-level, casual stuff. I wasn't offended by it, but I wanted to say this is where my line is.
But they're your friends.
Well, they were associates of sorts.
And you called them out.
I called it out, yeah. I call it out all the time. Like, seriously, one of the jobs, it's a full-time... People always go, white ribbon this, stand up and say something. It's a full-time fucking job, man. If you've got enough female friends there'll always be one that you're keeping an eye on because they've got a fucking dodgy boyfriend. Like, it's just a thing, you know? So, you do constantly have to go... Because I was saying this in the context of thinking that whatever somebody said... You know, what? No, this guy, Max... I won't say his name. This guy that I used to tour with, I never thought... I thought he was I thought he was a dickhead, but I didn't think he was, like, particularly rapey. There was this other thing that he did one time that made everyone's stomach turn, but that's another story. Later on, afterwards, I did go, well, actually, no, you're a fucking disgrace. Like, because, you get a lot of that. So...
But this time...
But with this particular one, I couldn't quite say that's fucked. I mean, just putting it there. But that's what these dudes are a bit like, aren't they? They're like, the more that
it's the confidence. You initially assert that you would like to make sweet, sweet love to them by the fireplace.
Yeah.
And you're saying that right from the start. And it's saying that guys who come across through the friend zone of, hey, I'm just an inoffensive guy, just being around you and stuff. Because that guy's not asserting himself and expressing his wants and desires from the start, then it looks like he doesn't have drive and passion, which is one of the more important things that maybe is being looked for.
Yeah. And he's got to avoid taking the highway. We have to call it that.
When was the...
So we can always just go. And it was... And it was when this guy did this that he avoided taking the highway to the friend zone.
You're old, Kieran. What did people back in the olden days used to call the friend zone? Because it was only invented in like the late 90s or something, early 2000s. It was a Chris Rock routine, wasn't it?
It was definitely invented. It wasn't talked about.
I never heard it as a kid. I never heard the word friend zone.
You knew that
80s and 90s.
There were perils to being a friend. Once you realised the girl saw you as a friend, you realised that... but the thing is that one of the things that... If you're after instant... And we'll cover this in the next episode of Highway to Friend Zone. We can cover that.
I'll look it up.
The being a friend...
I'll fact check
sometimes
us.
You can be a friend. Like you were talking about your relationship. You're friends with this guy.
Yeah.
Quite often, that's actually where your long-term relationships that have got a half chance of working will come from.
Because you got...
But the pick-up artistry thing's not about that. It's about instant gratification.
Yeah. Another
notch on my guitar. All that sort of... that as it plugs into that aspect of it. So... But nobody, when I was young,
used the word.
You didn't go. Oh, you got yourself into the friend zone. There.
You're totally friend zone.
And to be fair, the first time I ever heard it, I reckon the first time I ever heard it referred to was Dilruk Jayasinghe. He had a whole bit that he did for quite some time.
And when was that roughly?
2011.
Oh, I heard it back late 90s, early 2000s. Chris Rock did a whole routine about the friend zone.
Right.
That's when he was doing the toss the salad.
So are you suggesting that Dilruk did a routine about something?
He would have taken it out of the public domain because everyone used to do... Like, whenever a really good piece of comedy came out, everyone would just quote it to each other.
Yeah,
so
right.
You might have heard all of Eddie Murphy's stuff without actually hearing Eddie Murphy because people would steal the jokes. So in the same way, tossing the salad, the first time I heard that was... a lot of those weird words were coming up around that time, early 2000s.
So did you find growing up that this was a thing?
The word friend zone, but you would have grown up...
Did guys like just go to you, did you fucking put me there?
I don't know, I saw it referred to in popular culture.
Yeah.
But not outside of that.
You've never heard a person in your real life say the word friend zoned, as in I friend zoned someone or I got friend zoned.
No, I don't think so. I think I've and again, the only time I've ever heard it used unironically in real conversation was when I was overhearing a bunch of 14-year-old girls talking to each other, and one of them was talking about all the boys she friend zoned.
Okay, so it's a thing that you do, you actually consciously do it back. Because I thought it was a place where you ended up by default.
There's a lot of definitions for it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But obviously now...
the context changes phrase to phrase.
Yeah.
So she was doing it deliberately from what I could tell.
Just putting people there.
Yeah.
Depends what you want to do with the guys as well. See,
Was she that confident that if she wanted to score with someone, she could just click her fingers?
Well, apparently, yeah.
Did she think that she could let people out at the friend zone?
you could never escape.
They just come running out, still with the same level of desire they'd had 6 months ago.
It's a Hotel California.
Yeah.
But in Japan, for example, I saw it's a lot more sexist, patriarchal kind of society over there. But then girls would use that kind of thing, like first.
That's why Julian from Real Social Dynamics loved going to Japan so much.
Yeah, like girls would be like you could use men in certain ways to get bought presents or get bought drinks or get taken around in his car or something.
I went out with a girl who did hostessing over there. And she was just minted. There was in the 90s. That was a real thing. Aussie girls were, because they liked the Caucasian girls. It's, like it goes both ways. Like, because your man Julian Blanc, got castigated for talking about how he was a god as a white man, and everyone's like, "What a patriarchal bastard!" But I was privy to the way it worked the other way around, and girls I knew when we were like poor, struggling artist student. I went out with this girl, and I said, you made how much money when you went to Japan to do this thing? And, and I asked her about if it ever got dodgy, and she said, yeah, a little bit, but she was working in bars, and there was security around, and it wasn't like, guys didn't behave appallingly from time to time, but she said she never felt unsafe. So,
but that's an actual set-up contract from both people saying we're going to...
Yeah.
As opposed to a friend zone where it's not consensual from maybe one of the parties. Or maybe it is, I don't know.
I don't even see how they're the same, the friend zone. I'm just talking about the fact that, because you brought up Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll just wrap up this episode. If only to go, thanks very much for tuning in. Come back next week when we talk about other related issues. And where to